Dear colleagues, good afternoon and welcome to the Ewora webinar, which is organized under the Mednight program funded by European Commission. This specific Mednight project has received funding from European Commission's Horizon Europe Research and Innovation Program. And as Ewora, we are very pleased to be a partner in this project. Mednight objective is to generate Mediterranean strengthened unity, making visible our common problems, and to reinforce and support the science working towards our major concerns. Mednight highlights that science is the future and is matter for men, women, children, and youngsters. Let me give you a short information about European Women Rectors Association. As the European Women Rectors platform, we have been organizing various events since 2008, aiming at listening different experiences of higher education leaders, not only from Europe, but all around the world. And in December 2015, Ewora has been established in Brussels as an association to promote the role of women in leadership positions in the academic sector and to advocate gender equality in higher education and research at European and international scales. I believe that as women leaders in academia, each and every one of us should be setting role models for not only creating suitable conditions for young female academics to climb up academic ladders and reaching the top positions, but also showing our engagement to the urgent problems that are being emphasized by Mednight, from clean energy to marine pollution. Today, Ricardo Dominguez, Mednight Communications Manager, is also with us, and he will be giving a presentation and more information on the details of this project. Today's webinar is titled Decoding the Mediterranean Science, Reflections from European Higher Education Leaders. I'm looking forward to listen to presentations from our distinguished speakers, who are Professor Isabel Gil, Rector of Catholic University of Portugal, Professor Sondan Feyiz, Rector of Kadir University from Turkey, Professor Anna Steiger, Vice Rector of TU Wien from Austria, and Professor María José Figueras, former Rector of Universitat Rovira, Virgili from Spain. Dear colleagues, before I give the floor to our speakers, I would like to highlight few issues regarding to today's discussions. As you know, women are still not equally represented with men in top management levels of higher education and research. Gender inequalities in academia is an important challenge of higher education. On the other hand, during the times of crisis, change processes, or the global disasters such as the pandemic or climate change, are all deepening the gender imbalances at all levels across the world. According to the European Commission's recent She Figures publication, women continue to be underrepresented in senior academic positions. At the EU level in 2018, women represented more than 40% of academic staff on average. However, going up in the academic ladder, women make up only 1/4, 26.2% of grade A positions. While there has been some progress towards improving women's representation in decision-making and leadership positions, women represent less than 25% of heads of institutions. Women were underrepresented among grade A, that's professorship level, academic staff in every field of research and development. But the lowest representation is observed in the field of engineering and technology and natural sciences. It is extremely important for Mednight project to make a contribution to the visibility of women researchers from STEM disciplines. Accordingly, Mednight, promoting the Mediterranean science, has identified 4 key thematic areas. The first one is sea and pollution. Second one is climate. Third one is clean energies. And the fourth one, eat and nutrition, together with life and health. In a post-pandemic world, it is now more important to focus on these subjects in order to achieve a sustainable future and a gender equal world. Dear colleagues, I would like to give you a short information about the Mediterranean Science Team program. I was honored to chair the jury who were formed by the Mediterranean Science Team, consisting of 11 scientists from various Mediterranean countries last year in 2021. We have awarded 8 female and 3 male scientists who have made impressive contributions to the Mediterranean science with their high-level academic work. This year, I am once again pleased to be in the same role, and we are looking forward to receiving the nominations from all of you. I would like to encourage institutions, universities, and research centers from all Mediterranean countries to submit nominations of scientists to be a part of the Mediterranean Science Team. All details and information about the distinguished jury members are available on Mednight and Ewora websites. The 11 scientists will be elected by the jury, and the results will be presented at a gala in person on February 9th, 2023 in Istanbul, to be kindly hosted by Kadir University and the Rector Sondan Feyiz. So before I finish, I would like to thank Ricardo Dominguez once again, who created this opportunity for us together under the umbrella of Mediterranean science and have a discussion today here. I also would like to thank Professor Isabel, Professor Sondan Feyiz, Professor Anna Steiger, and Professor María José Figueras for allocating their precious time for us here. It will be a great pleasure for us to listen to works and activities from their universities, from different countries, both from Mediterranean region and as well as other parts of Europe, so that we'll have a chance for making comparisons. Dear colleagues, I wish all of us a fruitful discussion, and I hope we will work all together for a better and equal world, starting from Mediterranean region, but also aim to expand it as much as possible. Thank you very much. Now, dear Ricardo, floor is yours.
Thank you, Professor Saglamer. I'm going to share my screen and make the presentation. Okay. Good morning. I am Ricardo Dominguez from a small company in the Valencian region of Spain called El Caleidoscopio. I would like to thank Professor Gulsun Saglamer and Ms. Julia Kaglayan from Ewora for their invitation to participate in this event, as well as all the partners and people who rely on the Mednight or Mediterranean Researchers Night project. As I was the coordinator during its creation in 2020 and 2021, and the person in charge of drafting the project for 2022 and 2023, which has been funded by the European Commission again, and with which we hope to consolidate it. During this second stage, I played the role of Mednight Communications Manager. For this webinar, I have been asked to give the opening presentation, so I will briefly explain how through the European project Mednight, we have started to develop the concept of Mediterranean science and the effort we put into making the figure of women researchers visible. 500 million people on the 3 continents are united by the world's largest sea. We are the Mediterranean, the sea that brushes us, a strategic geographic location, and the shared trace of our history give us a common ground to tackle shared problems. 23 countries bleed from the same wound. In all of them, male and female scientists are actively working to overcome our major concerns. Doing Mediterranean science gives us identity, integrates us, makes us a solid, unique team, and gives us the necessary strength to thrive in the future. ¿Se oye? The main idea of the proposal is to value science and scientists' work through its segments that can be more easily recognizable to the public we want to address. To do this, we will define and value Mediterranean science with the aim of creating a feeling of identity and belonging to it and recognize it as something we can be proud of. This is, as Professor Saglamer explained before, the case of the Mediterranean science team. The science team is a symbol with which we want to bring the relevance of science to the general public. For this reason, we form a team of 11 players, like football teams. The scientists in the science team will be those who have contributed most notably to the knowledge and/or development of strategies to address problems shared by the countries of the Mediterranean basin, or whose research makes an important contribution to the future projection of the Mediterranean countries. Historically, the science carried out by men has been shown, which make it difficult for a large part of the population, women, to identify with the achievements made. For this reason, Mediterranean science must place a special emphasis on women researchers. The first Mediterranean science team in 2021 consisted on 12 members, of 8 of whom were women, because in Cyprus we had a double member, one for the Turkish part and another from the European part. Therefore, in addition to make the figure of women visible in research, we color event in Spanish, Italian, Greek, etc. in a female way, as in Spanish, La Noche Mediterránea de las Investigadoras, together with its original title in English, Mediterranean Researchers' Night. Here in white, in the column in white, in row in white, you can see the name in the Mediterranean Researchers' Night, and in blue, the official name from the European Commission. Here in blue, you see the official name in the European Commission of the Researchers' Night, and in white, the name we call our Mediterranean Researchers' Night. We think that this change in language is very important, as otherwise women are being excluded by the masculine way of naming things. As we can see, our name serves to counteract the problem of translating a neutral name, researchers in English, into the different languages spoken in the Mediterranean basin. One way to solve this problem with the language would be to call the night the European Research Night. The European Commission authorized this change for the Catalan language, as you can see here. However, this change has not been authorized for the Spanish language either, but the team that makes up the group of nights in Spain, or by the organizers of the Researchers' Night in the European Commission. We don't know if a similar change has been requested for any other country or language. We would like to point out the importance of using the right name and the possible damage it is doing to the future of Mediterranean science, where women researchers must play a fundamental role. We do not intend to exclude anyone because of their gender, but we think that calling the project in a female form is a way to make women researchers more visible to the general public and the younger ones, and to make decision makers aware of the importance of using a gender-neutral name. For the same reason, we decided to hold exhibition exclusively featuring women, such as Mediterranean Faces of Science, currently on display in several Mediterranean countries, or like the one scheduled to open in Istanbul in February on the occasion on the International Day of Women and Girls in Science, and also together with the Mediterranean Science Team Gala, entitled Mediterranean Health Heroines. Now I'm going to show another video. I think we are going to have the same issue, but it's subtitled again. So
Europea de la Investigación y de la Noche Europea de las Investigadoras, lógicamente. Entonces, estas son las actividades previas que hemos diseñado para sobre todo, dar la difusión de la tarea tan importante, del trabajo tan importante de estas científicas en el arco mediterráneo.
Bueno, pues yo creo que el papel de la mujer en la ciencia ha sido importantísimo. Nos podíamos remitir hace muchísimos años con Madame Curie, que fue una persona imprescindible para el tratamiento de las enfermedades. Lo que sí que es cierto es que ese papel ha estado muy invisibilizado durante largas temporadas y en este momento todavía tenemos que hacer exposiciones como estas para poner de manifiesto, para poder dar a conocer que la mujer está contribuyendo como pensadora y como científica en todas las facetas de la ciencia y de la educación. Y prueba de ello son estos 27 paneles. Es una mínima representación de las miles de mujeres que están en nuestros institutos de investigación, en nuestros hospitales, en nuestras universidades, investigando y dando a la sociedad todo su conocimiento y toda su sabiduría para contribuir a que esto sea pues, una sociedad cada vez mejor.
Me ha sorprendido gratamente que de las 28 investigadoras, al menos 3 de ellas trabajan en el campo de la nanotecnología y nuevos materiales, que bueno, es un área predominante del sector masculino, ¿no? Y son investigadoras que trabajan en el desarrollo de nuevos materiales, en nanotecnología, para diversas aplicaciones, como por ejemplo bueno, pues prótesis para mejorar la salud de las personas o envases activos inteligentes antimicrobianos para alargar la vida útil de alimentos. Incluso también la física aplicada al estudio de las células cancerosas, que normalmente se aborda a través del punto de vista de la química.
Están contribuyendo hasta incluso, como vemos aquí, en países del arco mediterráneo con graves conflictos bélicos en muchas épocas, que tendrán dificultades no solamente por la brecha de género y por determinadas políticas que hay en ocasiones en contra de este tipo de funciones que deben realizar las mujeres en algunos de estos países, pero que no obstante siguen siendo, pues claro, referentes de la ciencia y la investigación en Europa, como podemos ver en muchos de estos papeles. Yo creo.
It's okay. Bueno. Mediterranean Science focus on 4 areas of activities, especially regarding the key thematic areas which lie in the nucleus of EU policy. And priorities are the key for the Mediterranean context. Climate change and clean energies, life and health, food and nutrition, and sea pollution are the main areas. It is our main goal to show the importance of Mediterranean science, especially among young people, to let them know that the problems they see on our beaches, in our land, that is deserting progressively, and in their day-to-day without enough resources for researching, are also the concern of many other young people in Mediterranean Europe and non-Mediterranean Europe. The same gap extended from Algeciras to Istanbul, sang the poet. The Mediterranean Researchers' Night will be held on September 30. Several Mediterranean countries, Spain, Italy, Cyprus, Egypt, Turkey, Greece, and Belgium, where is Ewora from, will come together in a science-related event under a common flag. That night will mark the end of 6 months of activities for all audiences that will take place in different cities in Mediterranean countries. Gardens, streets, beaches, beach bars will bring together scientists with audiences of all ages. We will look at the stars over the sea together. We will solve challenges that will be a science game. We will visit boats whose mission is to study the fauna and denounce the attacks suffered by the Mediterranean. There will be many different activities throughout an unforgettable Mediterranean Researchers' Night.
Il Mediterraneo è arte, storia, cultura e bellezza, ma attualmente sta vivendo un momento davvero drammatico. Cambiamenti climatici, incendi, inquinamento, desertificazione, poche opportunità per i giovani. Possiamo proteggere il Mediterraneo con la ricerca scientifica e vogliamo mostrarvi come. Per questo abbiamo organizzato un grande evento, Mednight, la notte mediterranea delle ricercatrici. Durante Mednight, noi ricercatori dell'Università di Messina coinvolgeremo tutti voi, e specialmente i più piccoli, in esperimenti, giochi, quiz e dibattiti. Vi mostreremo i risultati delle nostre ricerche e parleremo di clima ed energie sostenibili, ecologia e protezione dell'ambiente marino, giustizia, alimentazione e salute. Vi aspettiamo allora venerdì 30 settembre fra le 16 e le 24 al Rettorato dell'Università di Messina in Piazza Pugliatti. Mednight sarà una grande festa perché la scienza è la miglior festa a cui possiamo invitarvi.
I'm finishing. We hope to see you on September 30th during the Mednight and that you will be part of it in the future if you have not already done so. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Ricardo. It has been a very comprehensive presentation about our project. Welcome to our session, Isabel. It's nice to see you. You are our first speaker. You are the rector of Catholic University of Portugal. Isabel, floor is yours. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Gulsun, and good morning, everyone. I'm very honored to be here with you today, and I must start by excusing myself that I won't be able to attend the full seminar because I have a dean's meeting going on at the same time. So I'm sort of off and on. And I want to start by saying that it is truly a privilege to speak to this group of inspiring researchers about Mediterranean science, but also following up on what we heard from Ricardo on the leadership of women researchers. I'm going to make a brief presentation of where we stand at my university vis-a-vis the programs, the European programs on Mediterranean science, and mostly linked to the project of the Mediterranean Union. But also, I want to start by saying that most of these projects come from three very specific areas: food engineering, food safety and health, and 89.5% of those projects are led by highly impactful women researchers. And we'll be hearing from one of my colleagues who leads the Center for Applied Biochemistry and who has been spearheading this research area. I will briefly share my screen. I have a brief presentation.
Now yes. It's coming. Yeah.
Sounds perfect. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to start by saying that we are in our contentious day and age often faced with a conundrum. One, and I have a quote here from Goethe, who in the 18th century was always very inspirational, not a very friendly author for women, but truly a scientist and a cosmopolitan let's say scholar, who had this to say about science in the heyday of nationalism, that science was not a patriotic endeavor, right? So we, as scientists, we create networks. Our mission is to transform the world, to bring about a better situation for our planet and for humanity. And for this, we need to collaborate. And women are particularly relevant in this regard. The other quote was a declaration by 500 women scientists in 2018 in the United States in the wake of the election of Donald Trump, also making a reverse argument but also that does not take away from this cosmopolitan outlook that Goethe defended, basically saying that, speaking about the centrality of science for the development of our own countries, that it is a patriotic duty to develop and create policies based on evidence, and that we as university leaders also must never lose sight of this mission. So working on these two levels, on the one hand, global collaboration moving towards the common good, but also keeping in mind that before the trials and the tendencies and the narratives of fakeness that tend to demote science, it is our patriotic duty, if we can, as these women scientists say, to continue to develop and pursue excellent science. And so I see this is sort of a brief presentation of where we stand at my university. We're roughly 1,000, roughly 1,000 researchers, and amongst those, 52% are women. And as I've just said, from the data regarding the projects that we lead now in biotech, they have a very prominent role in leading teams and also in inspiring young females to pursue that goal. So the ultimate, of course, the ultimate goal is to produce science that impacts on society. But to do it, articulating, of course, as we all do, our research endeavor also with the excellence in teaching. And this can only be done if we continue to pursue in the associations, the federations that we are part of, but also in our bilateral and in the networks that we create. If we continue to set this mission and to further this mission, working on the intersection of the four great drivers for change: globalization, of course, digital transformation, the cultural change that we are facing, not always for the good, and that is why the reaffirmation of the need for sound evidence, for robust evidence-based knowledge is a mission that has not been achieved, that we have to continue to fight for, but also to work outside what was 20 years ago, because we're no longer in that model, the ivory tower of research, to continue to work with companies to work towards strengthening knowledge transfer to products that may be then used in communities around the world. And it is within this greater framework that I see our work and our contribution towards the Mediterranean Union and the pursuit of science aimed to further the sustainable development of the wider basin. I'm speaking from Lisbon, an Atlantic city, but with the Mediterranean outlook, and also sharing a very strong Mediterranean culture, I would say. So the four target in the roadmap for the Union of the Mediterranean, there are three main drivers, and the four areas that you see there, of course, where as well the PRIMA projects were developed, and the research, the funding, the European funding for the PRIMA was focused mainly on these four areas. The objectives, we have worked within PRIMA on these three large sectors: water resources and ecosystems, food safety, and food safety is a very strong area for us, and health and human security. Aimed at fostering the promotion of competitiveness, sustainable development, the cooperation between public and private actors, that is quite relevant, especially bringing companies into this equation, and also fostering a stronger territorial cohesion amongst the countries of the Mediterranean and Europe. We have 28 PRIMA projects ongoing, focusing on these 3 areas. One of the main drivers of our biotech center is work on arid soils and also on the toxicity of soils. Those teams have been very active in the development of these projects. Then for food systems, to specific themes, working on sustainable farming systems in the Mediterranean and the Mediterranean food value chain. This is a brief sum, some data sum. We work not only, of course, involved in these projects are not only universities of the Mediterranean Basin and Europe, but also from Africa. So we work also, we bring into the equation 23 partner universities from sub-Saharan Africa. We work with universities, higher education institutions in 21 countries plus the Europe 27. We bring together 125 companies, and the specific areas of the PRIMA projects are those that are listed there. Other than PRIMA, and also working with universities in Egypt, Turkey, Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. We have been devising work in the field of psychology and mental health, legal systems, education. There's one specific work on conservation practices and heritage, and business and economics. So these are research projects ongoing. As I said, it is important to bring as well companies into the equation, because this really shows that we are contributing to impact the lives of the communities. But having said that, this does not take away from the importance of continuing to fund blue sky science. Right? And I think this is not a either or, as we all know, but I think specifically for the project as we have ongoing in the Mediterranean Basin, they're very much focused on knowledge transfer. A different aspect than this is capacity building and doctoral education. We're engaged currently in 3 doctoral programs: biotech, in dentistry, and social work, so very different areas, with these universities in Israel, Italy, Spain, Turkey, and also with partners in Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, and Algeria. And currently we have 25 students circling in these 3 doctoral programs. I'm going to share a video by the director of the Research Center for Applied Chemistry, and where she will share and unshare this. Stop sharing, and then I will share the other screen. Where she will speak. And you will see some of the facilities and the work that we are currently doing.
CPQF, the Center for Biotechnology and Fine Chemistry at Catholic University of Portugal, is a research center located in Portugal that co-creates, develops, and disseminates innovative knowledge in the field of biotechnology. CPQF holds competences in environmental sciences, biosciences, bioengineering, nutrition, and analytical chemistry, applied to the key societal challenges focused on the health and well-being of the citizen. CPQF's objectives and activities are fully aligned with the European Green Deal, the Farm-to-Farm Strategy, and other European policies and United Nations 2030 Agenda. For more than 30 years, CPQF has been at the forefront of biotechnology, which was recognized by the Portuguese Foundation for Science and Technology, FCT, classifying CPQF as excellent both as a research center and as an associated laboratory. We are more than 220 researchers, and our activities are supported by 13 thematic laboratories chartered in 4 research groups: environmental and resources, food and nutrition, bio-based and biomedical products, and fermentation solutions. We are equipped with 7 advanced scientific platforms serving different research activities and external services: bioactivities, cell culture and molecular biology, analytical chemistry, consumer and sensory science, packaging and materials, biophysics, the kitchen lab, and the technological pilot plant. Over the 5 years, we published more than 700 articles in international peer-reviewed journals. Since our foundation, we have developed knowledge and innovation for solving the most complex food and environment challenges, collaborating with partners at national and international levels within the scope of projects in competitive funding schemes. Of the many projects implemented, we highlight 3 of international nature: Recro, where we seek to help redesign the Mediterranean agro-system with improved resilience capacity and higher productivity; Radiant, a project that supports multi-actor engagement and learning among farmers, breeders, and consumers to develop effective and dynamic value chains for underutilized crops; and Steiger, that intends to make the use of data from sensors and multiomics and technology for plant phenotyping. At CPQF, we are actively working with industry and promoting knowledge transfer and entrepreneurship. To reinforce this goal, we have created a fully dedicated interface center focused on knowledge valorization, entrepreneurship, and technology transfer in the bioproducts area. The Alchemy project is an example of high-impact strategy project with a top international biotech company, Emrys from the United States. We established in Portugal a center of excellence in biotechnology and circular economy to develop new molecules of high commercial interest for the pharmaceutical, cosmetic, industrial, and food industry. Throughout the years, we have been an active player in the policy making and defining research and development priorities, and a promoter of social awareness and engagement with science. Today, CPQF is recognized as the center of excellence that our vision predicted. We are proud to be recognized as international flagship research center in biotechnology.
Summing up some of the latest data for the research and for the collaborations that we have. This is data from 2021 from collaboration within the PRIMA and other research projects with the Mediterranean countries. And as we see, there is a high prevalence of course, of collaboration with key continental partners, Spain, France, and Italy, but also pivoting to the other countries that are listed here. Amongst the research outputs, we list joint collaborations, joint patents as well. So there's an IP framework for this joint collaboration. And so this is how, through this collaboration that is inspired by responsible participation, working collaboratively, focusing on areas where we can excel. We don't do everything, but we focus on excellent areas, and we hope to foster stronger global proximity. And this is how we'll work together for a more sustainable world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Isabel, for this very impressive and very comprehensive presentation. Dear colleagues, Isabel is also a board member of Ewora. We are proud of her. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this excellent presentation and contribution. So now we can move to Sondan Durukanoğlu Feyiz.
Thank you.
Next speaker from Turkey, from Kadir University. So floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Gulsun Hocam, and I am delighted to be part of this very distinguished panelist. And, before I start talking about what we are doing scientifically and educationally to increase the awareness on those very important issues, I want to share something with Gulsun Hoca, and that will make you happy. I just checked the percentage of female professors. It is now currently at Kadir University 39%, the highest ratio we reach. And this is my end of first term. And second term is going to be even better. That's what can I say. And hopefully it will get better and better so that we will have more female participants in the decision-making levels in higher education institutions. So what we do, what we expect from any university to serve the society in education, in research, and serving to society. Those are three fundamental functions of a university. So dealing with the issues associated with climate and clean energy, sea and pollution, diet and nutrition, life and health. And for any university, they have to work in these three branches, okay? In these three functions. So if you want to increase the awareness in the society, education and serving to society, and if you want to make contributions scientifically, of course, university has to work in research. So I will just separate these two things, and then we will see what we do at Kadir University to increase the awareness in the society and to make the contributions to scientific society. So how you can do it? What we did at Kadir University, we completely changed the educational model, and we introduced a core program. No matter in what department you are in, you have to go through this core program. We are a small university. By just letting the student go through this core program, we want to turn the student into global citizens who are sensitive to those issues. That is very important. When you look at the courses that are open to all students, and they have to take those global issues and human conditions, ecological economy for sustainable future, the real cost of energy consumptions, low democracy and environmental ethics, and etc. and etc. Second thing, the change we made in our higher education model was that, and the second and third and the fourth year, no more exam. Is project based on teaching. The goal here is our university aim to train the student so that they're going to be an R&D person in any companies or in any academic institution. So by just training the students, we're going to increase the awareness in those issues, and also we will increase the number of people working in those areas, scientific or research on research perspective. Okay, so another thing we do is, of course, centers. In any universities, there are centers, but we have to make sure that those are not signboard centers, so they have to be active. The centers we have at university, the Center for Energy and Sustainable Development and the Center for Climate Change and Law. And the first center, as the goal is to conduct interdisciplinary educational and research activities. How? By bringing the people in various disciplines, social sciences, engineering, art and design, and law, bringing them and focus on the energy-related issues that are really important for Turkey. But if something is related to Turkey, it is related to the global. Why? Because when you look at the map of the world, the energy resources are in our surrounding. And now Russia is closing the valves, and Germany is looking for new energy resources. So, and they also have a master program with the thesis, so that we have people who are expert, who are also scientific expert in those areas. And those are some activities they do. And that center is the Center for Climate Change and Law. This is the very first time that is established in the School of Law. And the aim of this center is to increase the climate change awareness for target groups by conducting various academic studies. And of course, how they are going to do that, they will bring several partner stakeholders, academics, practitioners, and the student, and they will look at the problem from legal perspective. That is really important, and really, it is really important for me that the School of Law is established at center, and they are really active. They were active online, and I hope that they are going to be active in the face-to-face events. Okay, so again, we continue to serve the society through education. I really like this project. We have, Kadir has established a partnership with the local municipality of Eyüp Sultan. And they have a joint project called Agriculture 4.0 Policies Application and the Research Center. And the municipality and the university came together. This is really important. The main goal of this project is to make a pilot applications for the assessment of agricultural area in and around the city, and to develop sustainable agriculture. And the responsibility of Kadir Has University is to educate the farmers and introduce them new agricultural technologies so that they have a sustainable agriculture for their lands. And of course, establishing a sustainable ecosystem between the producer and the consumer. This is economic side of the project. So it's just started, and we are looking for seeing the result of it. And I hope it's going to set an example for the other agricultural areas in Turkey. So research, instead of focusing on several different research areas, I just want to participate the publication focus on this climate change, clean energy, marine pollution, diet, nutrition, and health. And I compare those publications by year. As you see, as the year increasing, our participation in those research areas, specific in those research, is increasing. And another nice thing about it, I want to say, the total number of projects associated with those subtitles is 55. And the total funding of this one, 15.5 million euro. And I am sure the projects are important because publications or patents will come from the researchers, and I am sure they will have really, the impact of this research will be important in Turkey and around the globe. And I'm sure we are among those projects that Isabel presented. Turkey is among them, and hopefully we will have more partners in Europe working on those specific area and coming up with the solution to this really important problems. And I just want to finish it because I have Board of Trustees meeting in 1 hour, and in the morning I had another conferences. Today is the hack, and I complete my talk, and I thank Gulsun and all of you for inviting me and making me part of this panels. Thank you, Gulsun.
Thank you, Sondan, for this very impressive presentation. Dear colleagues, our third speaker is Anna Steiger from Technical University of Vienna. She is the Vice Rector of the university. Floor is yours now.
Thank you, Gulsun. I'm working as a vice rector at my university, Technische Universität Wien, since more than 10 years. So just a few words to my university, Technische Universität Wien. On my first slide, you can see my university. And as you can see, it's an old building. It's more than 200 years old in the heart of Vienna on the Karlsplatz. And so I would say we are a very traditional technical university with, yes, let me say very specific challenges in gender equality. So what I will present you, next slide, please. Yes, so thank you. What is on my agenda for today? So first of all, the question, why are we engaged in gender equality? Second question, what we are doing. And the last, maybe a question, maybe an answer. Do we have success? And what are our success factors? And yes, let me say, I would say we had some success. And this is not really from my university, but let's start more than 10 years, more than 15 years ago. And this could be a very good picture about the situation at TU Wien 17 years ago. As you can see, very, very similar man, just one woman. In fact, she's in the front. Next slide, please. This was our starting situation in 2005. Here are some facts and figures about the situations then. First of all, we have at about 28,000 students, and today more than 5,500 staff. In 2005, it was a little bit slow, but it's in fact, what's really interesting are the quotas and the part of female. So we started in 2005 with about 22% female students, and in the end of this picture, you can see 5% female professors. So the picture you have seen, I would say it was like that. So next slide, please. So why did we start in gender equality at university? It started with a new law. In 2002, Austrian government did a new University Act. This is our legal framework on which we are working today. And in this University Act, it made obligatory to establish an organizational unit, an own department with the task to coordinate all gender equality measures and the promotion of women and gender research. And I think this was very important, not only for my university, but very important for every university at that time. Because in 2005, we have in Austria 21 universities, and at that time we had just one female rector. So I think it was really necessary to change our University Act and to give us this obligatory organizational unit. And as you can see here, once again, some facts and figures about TU Wien in the year 2005. Scientific staff, more than 80% men, professors, more than 90% men. Administrative staff, it was a little bit different. We have, would say 50%, and students just more than 22% female students. So next slide, please. So, as I told you, we got this legal basis in 2002. And I just told you that we have to establish a new organizational unit responsible for all that coordination of our activities relating to equal opportunities to advance women and gender research. So next slide, please. So, and after this why, what did we do? First of all, we established a new office. It's the Office of Gender Competence. And today we have a team of colleagues in that office. At that time, 5 people. And what are we doing? Our goal is creating equal opportunities, gender equality for men and women at our university, and eliminating existing disadvantages for women. So this is our first goal, and that's what we are working for. We are not only working for women, we are working for men and women at our university. We are working for gender competence for everybody, and we want equal opportunities for everybody, men and women. We also working on gender studies. We are working on research in gender equality. We have some female-specific HR development measures. Yes, and all, we try to promote the numbers of female students, and believe me, that's really a challenge in Austria. Yes, next slide, please. Yes, and we did some structural measures. First of all, we did a gender equality plan, and I think most of your universities, dear colleagues, have a gender equality plan. We have ours since the late 1990s. And there, once again, we describe our Office for Gender Competence. We described what we are responsible for. For example, we do some mentoring and coaching programs for our female students, for our female staffs. And what is very important, we monitor all our measures and all our numbers. So we can see all the things we do, this mentoring, this coaching, this HR development. Do we have some success? Do we have efforts? So next slide, please. Yes, here's some impressions of what we are doing. In the middle, you can see my rector. We have a female rector since 11 years, Sabine Seidler. And you can see the lady in the middle of us. We created a prize for TU women to give them the opportunity to be role model for young girls, to give them a stage. And you can also see some girls working in our laboratories. We do that especially in holidays. We have a lot of invitations to girls. We go to schools and do a lot of things to motivate girls in their early ages to become scientists, to be interested in science. So next slide, please. Yes, and in our gender equality, we also fixed that we work in the area of gender research and research on gender equality. And I'm very, very happy to say that in the next year, my university pardon me, will have, fortunately, a professor for gender equality. And I think this is a quite new, especially in Austria, for a technical university. Because we think good and best research is if you have gender in your research. And so we teach not only our students, but we give support to our scientists, to our teachers. What do we mean when we speak about gender in research? Next slide, please. Yes, and one of our biggest success, we got an EU project called CHICO. It was created in 2020. We worked for it, 2 years. It's successfully ended last year. And one of the success of that was we worked together with universities from all over Europe, especially from former Eastern Europe. And at the end, we did, for example, an exhibition about gender in research, gender in research and innovation in teaching. And what you can see here are some impressions of that exhibition. So next slide, please. Yes, and two, gender-specific teaching in our curricula. I would say it was hard work to convince my colleagues. To convince my colleagues to change the curricula, or not to change, but to give some, let me say, gender-specific teaching content in the curricula, because all our curricula are so full of everything. And some of my colleagues told me, some of the professors, we have no time for this content too. But in the end, the Senate of the TU Wien convinced, and we have now for every student in our university gender-specific content, and they have to do it, and they have to get some ECTS for it. So the next slide, please. Yes, as you can see, 16 ECTS relevant courses for our students, and I would say it's quite innovation for not only for our university but for technical universities in Austria. So next slide, please. Yes, and of course, one very important task of our Office of Gender Competence is to support the university management, to support my colleagues in the rectorate, but also the faculties, the deans, in all matters relating to personal development, and they support us in our performance agreements. We have every year a performance agreement with our faculties, and one part is gender equality. Every faculty has to have some goals in gender equality, and these goals are fixed in these performance agreements. And if they don't reach the goals, they have to pay some money for it. So for every dean, for every faculty, it's really important to reach all the goals in our agreements. So the next slide, please. Next slide. So this could be a picture of the TU Wien in 2005. And let us see the next slide. This is, so sorry, some pictures from 2005. This should show us we have been looking for the women at that time. And the next slide, María, please. Yes, and yes, this is now, I would say, we have some flowers green and growing up in a field of gender equality. For my opinion, there could be more. You can see it in all our numbers. I will show you on my next slide. And as you can see, and maybe you remember the facts and figures from 2005, we have now 15%, maybe 16% of female professors. We have more than a third female students. And let me tell you, it didn't happen just overnight. We did a lot of it to get this success. So as I told you, for me, it is a success. And yes, I could speak about it for hours, what we did in the last year, Gulsun. But anyway, I think I had just 10 or 15 minutes. So the next slide, please. Here you have to compare it to 2005 once again. And I think we have improved a lot. And the next slide is thank you. And if you have questions and answers, please don't hesitate. Thank you for inviting me, Gulsun. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about our success at TU Wien. And yes, thank you very much, dear colleagues from the South.
Thank you. Dear Anna, it has been a great pleasure to listen to you as an expert on gender equality in higher education and research. You achieved a lot, even more than 10% increase in your university in terms of professorship. So this is a great achievement. So now we have Professor María Figueras, former rector of Universitat Rovira, Virgili from Spain. Floor is yours, María.
Thank you very much for inviting me, first of all. I had seen that when I was closing my camera, it said it was a rector. Remember that I'm the former rector up to May, June. It was my, I finished. Anyway, I took do you see my screen? All of you? Do I share it properly? Okay. Just to give you some figures, our university, it's a young university, was created in 1992. It's dynamic, open. Research is one of the key elements, together with innovation, and especially the commitment to society, because we are in the south part of Catalonia. We are in 100 kilometers away from Barcelona. So we really are the university that attends all the south part of Catalonia, together maybe with other small universities of our size in Lérida. So we have around 50,000 students, and together around 1,000, let's say 500, with more, 600 teachers, but full members dedicated that the commitment to research should be around, let's say, 500. And we have 1,700 publications a year, and 52% of them, they are on the first quartile. And this means that they produce quite good. When I started being a rector of the university, the first thing I had foreseen after just the beginning, it was that it was important that we were aligning all our actions along the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, because without this conscience to transmit it to the community, to the teachers, to the students, it was very difficult that we are going to achieve these goals by 2030. So that was one of the things we did, and I'm very proud of it to some extent. And when you see the evaluation of our university, but the high Times Education ranking that qualifies the university in relation with their compromise with the Sustainable Development Goals, you can see that in climate action, we had a very top position, and also following, but also gender equality, the quality of education, also the marine life, and so on. So this is one of the things. And another thing that happens during that period was that we belong to one of these European alliance of universities. It's Alliance Aurora, with members of northern countries. And in fact, in the Mediterranean basin, there are only 2 universities, ours and Leopoldo II from Napoli. And what I did was to follow the instructions I got from the European Women Rector Association. That was, what are the scientific activities that do our university that can solve common problems of the Mediterranean basin, and especially regarding these thematic areas: climate and clean energy, diet and nutrition, life and health, and sea and pollution. And in this sense, what I did was to just take over things and activities that had been done. They are keeping news, very recent news, and other ones. For instance, when our inauguration of academical year in 2019 was combined with a workshop on climate emergency and energy transition. And that was not because of nothing, because it was just that summer we had very strong fires in the area of the Ebro Delta, the south part of Catalonia. This year we had overflows. So it is clear that climate change is important, and this is something we have to introduce and try to work all together to fight against it. And if I go to the subject of climate change, I have to say that our university had a climate change institute, that group of research, very strong one, that collaborated with several European projects, but also this is due to a woman. And that's very happy. I'm very happy that Manola Brunet, Professor Manola Brunet, had been a leader of this research group of climatology. In reality, she is the president, or had been, now there has been some terminology change, the president of the Commission for Climatology from the World Meteorological Organization. And she received a lot of awards outside the awards, but also from our own government of Catalonia, so for her achievements. And I'm happy to be able to see, well, that's not, that she did it very good. An international team of climatologists are also, and she's on that team together with the University of Bonn and other partners, that they are trying to minimize the errors that they are on the prediction of these trends that we see on this climate change. And maybe the most relevant is that just last week, the 21 of September, it was around 100 people, experts of all around the world, were visiting our university to be on the 9th annual conference on European Forum on Environmental Law. And I have to say that our university had been pioneer in that subject. It is a very potent research group on that. And in fact, they incorporated this environmental law on judges already, but also on when they teach law to their students, and they had created the first master degree on environmental law of all the Catalan universities, which are public and private. We're around, let's say, 9 universities altogether, and so on. It's the only master degree on that topic. I will move now to clean energy, and clean energy is also a topic. We have a lot of engineering. I did not show the degrees and the things we have, but we have all the degrees on engineering and so. And look, we had just our first, this is very recent news, first European doctorate research network for legal specialists on hydrogen society. We have been working about the hydrogen belly of Catalonia, because we have been acting as promoters. You will see later on, and this is nice because it's still a blanco on the reference to the laws that will have to be applied on that. And then there had been an European project that was awarded by our research group through a Marie Curie fellowship. Then here are some examples of the students of the bachelor degree on chemical engineering at our school, in which they are constructing devices of cell power with hydrogen. Also research that apply methods of a study to the organic cells for the panels, solar panels, how the lifelong time they may have, and how they are degenerated, and how they can improve this the things, since now we are really all fully involved in this energy transition. We are have research method also in splitting water using sunlight instead of using electricity. And I have to say, I did not put it here, but just during this period, those 4 years in 2020, in fact, it was approved an Institute of Sustainability, Climate Change and Energy Transition. So it was a matter of combining all the researchers that could have synergies, work transversally, and be more successful also in European applications. As I commented to you, the Hydrogen Valley of Catalonia proposal we made from our university, because we are surrounded by big chemical industry, that we need this transition. We have this big climate impact. We are at the coastal side. Our sea is rising, is going over our beaches, and we succeeded that within the projects of Next Generation Catalonia, this hydrogen valley was included there. How we started all the process at that time, being a rector, the first step, and that was a key element, we signed an agreement with Enagas, the biggest provider of gas at that time. I remember still we were not the situation with economical pressure of the gas prices. It was starting because the media, I remember, were asking the president of Enagas how the things were going. But this signed agreement was very useful because it was the threat for Repsol and other big companies of producing petrol, and they have here a refinery, and in our area they were joining, and a part of that, then the thing grew a lot and escalated, and this is how we mobilized all the Catalan government. They came to Tarragona, to our unit, and we were the organizers of this big event. Still, we were in pandemic, as you could see, there were a lot of distance between the people. So it was really a co-creation activity, led by the university, led by our enthusiastic physician, which is Dr. Diaz. It's a vice rector of research. He implemented and moved and put the motor for all these 51 projects. Many of them had been already financial recognized. It was a big investment. It could produce also a reduction of the carbon footprint, important, and also be generate a lot of positions of indirect and direct jobs. I will move now to another of the topics, the life and health. I underline here, and you have to forgive me because I could underline many other things. Life and health, we had researchers that had been, Alex Arenas, who had been making simulations with analysis of big data during the pandemic, advising to the Ministry of Health here in Spain and also the central government. We had also people who are experts in cholesterol, working for many years, well-recognized groups of research. We have an institute of research on health linked to the hospital and to us. And I just concentrated in Vladimir. Vladimir is doing a lot of innovation. For instance, he realized that microplastics can disrupt our cell membranes, and that disruption will generate certain pathologies for sure in the future. And he is also working with nanotechnology and nanoparticles to act as antibacterial strategies, you know, and now is the area where antimicrobials and antibiotics have been the pharmaceutical industry does not really invest very much in new antibiotics, and get new strategies is very important, no? So also the people, sorry, before I go, life and health, it could be linked here, all the research groups that are doing well-being. You may notice, as probably all of you, that during the pandemic, a lot of psychological pressure was on our students, on our teachers, on our administration staff. And we had a dedicated group who are very, very good recognized for their activities linked to this mental health, which in reality is the basis for all the things we can do. If we are not mentally clean, or let's say enthusiastic, we cannot really work properly, you know. So let's, I underline it here, another multidisciplinary study on research determine most suitable agri-environmental indicators to assess potential technologies for nutrient recovery and agriculture. So this is this picture in which we could see in the first part, what is the problem of livestock systems, that they are consuming a lot of materials, they are producing a lot of emissions and so on, and what would be the solutions to transform these shortcomings in something positive. And this is the part of the solutions. And finally, in the last part, you could see indicators to measure, do we have less carbon footprint impact or not, the strategies they propose. I move now to the diet and nutrition. I have to tell you that we are very proud of our university to have Jordi Salas Salvador. Professor Jordi Salas is a highly cited researcher internationally at the level of the world. Down I put some of their citations of production. And while I was rector, I had a strategy to concentrate only on giving honorary doctor degrees to women, because when I arrived, it was less than 12%. There were women, and after we reached around 23%. And that was a strategy that when they were proposing me a man, we arrived to an agreement that we had enough, we had to make an effort to elect women. And he proposed Pilar Galán. Pilar Galán have the roots in Spain, but she is at the University of Paris, and she is a doctor, medical doctor, a physician, and she created the Nutri-Score, this thing that we can see now in all the supermarkets, ranking the healthiness of the foods we are buying from E to B, C, D, and E. And you could see also she had been a fighting woman, because a lot of lobbies and a lot of pressures, even I put this example of Nutella, it was a score as E, but they wanted this higher score. But the idea of the score is not that this product is bad, it's to educate the people that if you take a lot of these E foods, you may become ill. So you should be able to combine it, because they have excess sugar, excess additive products, and so on. If you take fruits and more natural vegetables, this is a more healthy life, and this is the idea. And I think, after all, she succeeded to have it on the market. Anyway, another of the big projects that led by Dr. Jordi Salas is MediMed Plus. It was a project started in 2013. It's ongoing, and in reality had already collaborated around 7,000 people. And it takes in account use the Mediterranean diet, which I think is very convenient for this meeting. We are talking about Mediterranean improvements, no? And this Mediterranean diet, which is high energy, it can be combined with physical activity, which is promoted, and with behavior of how they do these diets. No, you know, these fast diets, no, recover, and they are not maintaining times. While if you take, you lose weight, and you have this long term, maintain these characteristics of the Mediterranean diet, the probability of getting a cardiovascular disease will lower considerably. And this is very interesting, and I think very useful. I move now to sea and pollution. I left this subject for the end, and you will see why. In reality, I just put here, while I was rector, one of the deep sea numerical. It was a new spin-off from our university, created to Vladimir. It's also a member of this company, to analyze and regenerate marine life. These guys work with drones, they work with big data analysis and so on. They evaluated in our coastline what was the prairies of Poseidonia Mediterranea, which is a grass that if we have it there, it means that our sea is healthy. If they disappear, the life is moving away also. They perform biotopes of natural materials that they can deposit it in the sea to recover the diversity. And here you could see it was with the mayor of Tarragona, together with the president of the harbor of the Port Tarragona, who financed part of this project, and was myself in the boat. We were throwing these biotopes there so that they were going to attract the growth of first colonization of microalgae, small sea animals, and later the fishes will come later on. And why I left it for the end? I have to say that that had been my field of research before our rector. In reality, this is my team, and I think I move a lot of teams anyway, but some of them are in the upper part. Some of the original projects, AquaChip, EpiBathe, which is very relevant to the quality of bathing waters. The last one was this meta water, analyzing the components of the from the sequencing all the big populations, healthy water or aquabalance. And as you could see in some of them, EpiBathe, I was the only woman. When I was at the board, on the board of Aquabalance, despite all the participants, there was more women. I was the only one, so that had been my scene since many, many years. So I'm 66 years old, so I had already been confronted with all this for many years. So this is EpiBathe. EpiBathe was a project you had to recruit 2,000 participants. Finally, there were over 2,000, and 1,000 had to be bathers and 1,000 no bathers to demonstrate that the standards that they were going to be included a new bathing water directive of 2007 that replaced a previous directive of 1976 were the right ones to prevent any health risk for the bathers. And of course, that was the European legislation appeared already and said we were in charge a dedicated epidemiological study. EpiBathe was the dedicated epidemiological study. The only site in Marine Coast that was the one in Spain, and the one coordinated from the laboratory where I'm working at the medical faculty in Reus, and the other one was done in the Czech Republic with fresh water. Anyway, this led to be a temporary advisor of WHO in the developing of guidelines for bathing waters of the United Nations Environmental Program. I encourage all of you to now, they have a rapport built by the Environmental Program together with our agency of the European Environmental Agency that says how far we reach with all the monitoring had been done under the MEDPOL project. And the Environmental Commission, of course, on the directive. We could really also put our expertise with the Catalan Agency of Water. From my lab, we were controlling 250 beaches during every week for 21 years of collaboration. So we could put our model, and that was something taken over by WHO. And I had the chance to collaborate with the MEDPOL and have missions in Albania and also in Turkey. And I'm very proud because last week I heard it was a representative of the European Environmental Agency in another meeting that was bathing in cities like Barcelona, Berlin, Paris, how we have the quality, and said that the quality in Albania was improved. And I was very happy because when I went there, the facilities were very poor for do microbiological analysis. All this experience we had collected in this book, in this experience from ground, coastal, transition, water quality, 25 years of bathing water monitoring from our EpiBathe project to the factors that affect water quality, which are mainly rainfalls, which will deliver water, rainwater mixed with sewage from our sea, because it is an overflow, like we could see when it's heavy rain. At that time, we were already foreseeing that the most dangerous species that had the Mediterranean Sea were the plastics, and that poster was built for them. I said to them, now that's very popular. At the time we did it, it was looking like nothing. And of course, they had a strategy to recover all the plastics and to have planes that they were moving along the coast, giving signals to the boats where they had to go to collect the plastics. To getting out the plastics from the sea is not sustainable. What is sustainable is to reduce the contamination in origin, and that's what we have to do. So another of the examples, when the people go to the beach, they think they have to be like a swimming pool, and that's not so. We have jellyfish, we have algae, which are good algae, and sometimes we can have blooms of dinoflagellates, which can be toxic, with some problems with respiratory problems in some areas at the Coastal Brava. but we have to educate the population. And with that, I will finish, because notice that from the sea, it is this blue economy. Now it's a topic which is well financed by the European Commission, and also because when we put a women perspective, it even will win. So with that, I will thank you for your attention, and I hope I did not take much of my time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, María, for this presentation.
Thank you to you.
Excellent. So, dear colleagues, we have reached to the end of this presentations. So, thank you very much for your patience to stay with us 2 hours. I hope to meet with you again in another Mednight webinars in the coming months. So, I'm going to close the session. See you. See you soon.
See you.